But first, speaking of the federal election, a new poll out today shows the coalition leads Labor in 20 key marginal seats. Now, while a hung parliament is still the most likely outcome, the exclusive News Corp poll leaves no doubt Peter Dutton is within striking distance of the lodge.
And voters rated Dutton the best person to deal with what they consider to be the top three issues facing the nation: cost of living, housing and healthcare. And in a real blow to the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, only a third of voters said Labor had its priorities right, while half of those saying they intend on voting Labor admitted that they are still open to changing their minds, James.
It's a really interesting poll, and it's all bad news for Labor because on the key issues, Labor are trailing the coalition. Cost of living is easily, according to this poll, the most important issue for people. Housing and health follow second and third, but they are distant to cost of living. And all those polls rate the Labor government as failing miserably on that issue. In fact, the only issue that voters rated Labor better on were climate change and the environment. But of course, most people aren't concerned about the environment or climate change when they can't pay their electricity bill. The irony here, of course, is that according to this News Corp poll and a YouGov poll published by the West Australian newspaper, it does seem like the coalition on current trends will fall just short. YouGov is suggesting maybe 3 seats short of forming government, which then would mean potentially Adam Bant becomes a kingmaker. And according to the polls, well over half those surveyed say that would be a disaster for the country. And yet it seems like we might end up in that place.
But people seem to be turning away from the Greens, though. We saw it in the recent Victorian by-elections. We saw it in the ACT and in Queensland. I think that will be a factor. This polling, though, the most interesting part of it, James, though, it says that half of Labor voters say that they are still open to changing their minds. Now, we've got still months to go. We don't know, but it appears that last week was probably the last sitting week of the term in Parliament. So assuming that now we'll get probably an imminent election date from Anthony Albanese. So months are a long time in politics, James. There is still a lot of time for people to change their minds and make an assessment. It's clear Anthony Albanese knows, though, he's going to fall short. That the best that Labor probably could get is a minority. This week we saw him whining and dining the teals in a love-in at the lodge, a little pre-Valentine's Day love-in of sorts, James. So you know exactly what he was trying to do there. What was most telling for me this week, though, and I think that Anthony Albanese is going to have a hard time on the election trail, was on Friday when he was in the New South Wales Illawarra region in the seat of Whitlam, a seat held by Labor on a margin of 10.1%. Labor going there thinking this is a slam dunk, this is easy. However, he was met with boos. He was met with people in the crowd, members of the public, heckling him over the decision to put a wind farm off the coast of the Illawarra region. Now, this is a problem for Labor for 2 reasons. One, and I thought it was very telling, one of them actually said it's because he no longer represents the working class, and that is Labor's problem because he promised to deliver to that working class, the blue-collar worker, and he's failed to deliver, and it's showing in this poll, of course, in cost of living. Instead, he spent $450 million on the Voice campaign. That was his priority. But 2, where is he going to go on this election campaign? If he's out in public, if this is just one in a safe Labor seat, where is Albo going to go? And who knows what's going to happen in this campaign?
Well, it makes you realise how important an interest rate cut will be this month for Albanese.
But is it going to make a difference? Come on.
Well, that's all he can hang his hat on, right? If he doesn't get that, what does he claim as his great achievement? He's got to claim some kind of improvement in the economy. And if he can't hang his hat on that, he's got nothing to hold up to the public as here is evidence that things are on the improve. Give me another 3 years.
But James, if you are a mortgage holder and you have had 12 rate
I'm not
rises,
saying people will buy it. I'm just saying what other message does he have to sell?
But how can he sell that? How can he honestly sell that, do you think? Over the last 3 years, when electricity bills have gone through the roof, rents are going up.
I'm not saying people are going to buy it.
Is Albo actually going to come out and say, look what I've delivered? Surprise, we've had 1 rate cut out of 12. You can't sell that. That's not a selling point.